The story that you guys have is it's about weapons trafficking, the Pentagon.
It's about specifically...
What happened to the light?
I don't know. Yours is a little dark.
Oh, man.
It's all good.
Specifically about the 1MDB scandal and a lot of shenanigans, let's say, that came around there. Recently, Elliot Brody, who's the former deputy co-finance chair of the RNC, might remember him as such greatest hits as having to pay a former Playboy Playmate who Bloomberg claimed he coerced into having an abortion, $1.4 million, and then he had to step down from the RNC.
I don't know anything about
well,
what
you
that
can
was.
Google that. And recently he got indicted for foreign influence, crimes related to foreign influence surrounding the 1MDB scandal. And previously, an associate of his, Nikki Lum Davis, was indicted back in August for similar things. Well, it kind of felt like manna from heaven. We got a cache of documents that resulted in other caches of documents that relate to the 1MDB scandal. But specifically, we have honed in on invoices or quotes, I guess you could say, both within this cache that concern MRAP logistics and support. MRAP are armored vehicles. They're made by the U.S. government, armed forces, that are used. They're actually mine-resistant vehicles, right? So they're like the size of a school bus. This particular document has to do with a quote for, something about, 13 million or something for the original quote?
Oh, the original?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it might be around 15.
Well,
go ahead.
We'll get into all that.
Yeah, and that's not...
My camera just is on the fritz right now.
Well, that'll be up in about 10 minutes. You guys can watch
yeah.
it. So maybe we'll come back to that.
So, but long story short, what is this? Government malfeasance?
It happened in... the story starts in 2015, so it's kind of a beautifully apolitical story because it overflows between administrations. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Started with Obama.
Well, and it leads into... Brody also had a company called Cercinus. That's an open source intelligence company is what it's referred to, and does other things too. But he was kind of selling packages that were related to some of these government matters.
We'll have to start from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So before we get into all that...
by the way.
So Rocco Castoro,
according to the documents,
former editor-in-chief of Vice, and now what are you doing?
I'm working for a little outlet called Scanner, or Scener, or SCNR. It's
Scanner.
Whatever you want it to be.
So this is the this is like one of the first updates we've done in a really long time about Scanner.
Yeah.
So we started it a while ago. It was Subverse, and now it's Scanner. And you guys have basically been leading the charge on all that stuff. And now you have a big breaking story, which we'll get into. Everybody, I think, well, not everybody, but this is Emily Molly.
This is Emily.
I don't know. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah.
Do you want to pull your mic up?
I'm Emily Molly. I have been working for Subverse/Scanner since February 2019, about. Mm-hmm. And then so now I was primarily doing on the ground reporting, covering social movements, civil unrest, and all kinds of other things. And then started doing this full time. Would typically write and do desk presentations of everything from cybersecurity to geopolitics and all kinds of different technology stories while doing my on-the-ground coverage. And now we just kind of flipped the format a little bit to more just field reporting, straight-up field reporting. And Rocco came in and helped set all of that up.
You know how I know you guys are real journalists? You're boring.
Okay, let's spice it up. So, did you lose any money on the election?
No, of course not. I'm not going to bet on it.
I'm not going to
gamble.
gamble.
I didn't bet any.
No, it's a gamble. Come on.
No, I like to gamble in a casino with a set amount of money for fun.
But the odds are probably more accurate than the polls, I would say.
Yeah, but they were flipping around.
They were.
Right?
But that's odds for you.
Yeah. Well, before we'll spice it up. Subscribe, like button, notification bell.
You know what to do.
Shows Monday through Friday live. Well, let's. I do want to start talking about with media and stuff though, because I've not had an opportunity to sit down with you and talk about everything in the media. I think a lot of people need to understand when digital media was taking off, you were basically the dude.
I mean, you can say that. That's awfully nice of you, too. I was certainly a pioneer, if that's not too lame of a word to use. I was at a spot where new media, as they called it back in my day, which obviously was a faulty term because it won't be new for long, was seen as some savior, where BuzzFeed had trending LOL, LOS, and, Vice was the bad boys, right? And then... Vox was the serious, hey, we got Ezra Klein over here and we have Chorus, this CMS product. In other words, they were valued like tech companies, but they had no product. Their content was the product. They tried to show that they had a product, whether that be data, this or that. And if you look at their valuations, it follows suit, where you have a bunch of companies where people probably have super voting shares and stuff, and now they've taken haircuts that have brought them down to, less than $1 billion, which is really, where did $5 billion go? I started
for Vice.
Well, that was the largest. That was the highest valuation. I mean,
it was like 5.7 though, wasn't it?
BuzzFeed was like upwards of 2. People put $500 million in each of these companies, essentially anywhere from 3 to 500, million. Where'd the money go? I don't know. It probably went through ad fraud, which the DOJ has been investigating for years now. And something like, we've been talking to this guy, Dr. Augustine Fowl, who's an ad fraud researcher out of Canada, who's very well respected. A lot of his research, first of all, that he references on his Twitter is amazing, and the research he participates in is also amazing. And we've discovered, upwards of 80% of budgets are screwed up. In terms of most budgets account for 20% of fraud, and you should be looking at 40 to 50%.
So let's slow down. Let's slow down.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got can you name some websites specifically that have done stuff like this?
Well, it's very difficult to classify this. So you have everything from traffic assignment letters, which Variety and a bunch of other sites, Digiday, have written about concerning Vice, which is where other domains trade the sales of their ads for their traffic. You can assign it to yourself.
Wait, we'll slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any specific websites that you can name that have done things like this? And then we'll explain what it is.
I would say the majority of new media websites during that time, as well as I'd say any website that isn't going to be behind a paywall, does this to an extent. The percentage to which they do it is what the question is here. You can be unwittingly participating in this because ad units get sold in a weird way.
The general idea is we've got big companies, big brands,
sure, some
of the biggest digital media outlets, and the money they're making is fraudulent.
Well,
they're basically selling ads, mm-hmm. telling brands, if you put the ad on our website, you're going to get what, like 100,000 clicks, right? But then they're actually getting bots fake clicking.
It can be bots. It can be what's called ghost traffic, which is actually a legitimate click. It's very technical. It's not really important. It'd be like me giving you Monopoly money. I'd be like, hey, Tim, here's $1, and you give me a real quarterback. And I keep doing that, right? Eventually that defunds not only the market, but the US dollar and currency, because if you have a backlog of inventory that's flowing through the global advertising system and you keep devaluing that based off fake clicks, that means, what does that mean? I mean, it means that you're devaluing money, right?
Yeah.
It's not right. And it hurts journalism because it allows bad actors to screw out the bottom line.
I think we started seeing, so I remember that era.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I think even Shane talked about it, the CEO of
mm-hmm.
Vice, but they were all for it. Basically, they would assign their traffic to other companies, mm-hmm. so that you would think you were buying an advertisement on a high-profile website like Vice, but you were actually getting like dose.com or something.
But that's not fraud, though. That was legal.
Right.
Yeah. But
right.
dose.com,
that was
whatever
traffic assignment
site,
trick.
Yeah, that was a traffic assignment trick. But advertisers frown on that now. You can't really be bona fide and do that anymore. ComScore and Nielsen and all these companies have boxed you in on that. Yeah.
So, have you been paying attention to Vice lately?
Not really. I left in 2015, so I mean.
Can you, you want to talk about?
Sure. I mean, you can ask me questions. I may have to give you a Glomar. I can neither confirm or deny.
I remember, back in the day,
mm-hmm.
when we first met, especially, Vice was like edgy, hip, cool, kind of just doing whatever. You think
mm-hmm.
you had a video where you were like blowing stuff up or something?
Anarchist Cookbook, yeah.
Yeah. And then it started to become like Obama came in. You know what I mean?
I mean, there were certain, I felt like at some point maybe we were doing, or not just them, and I don't have any proof of this, but other outlets I know that after I left, Vice worked with the Saudi government, for instance. I felt like they were doing branded content for governments. And I think a lot of mainstream outlets do that. I think a lot of supposedly independent outlets are doing that right now, and they're using botnets. It's the same crap.
CNN did it.
Sure.
CNN would do, it was, I remember back in the day, CNN was accused of doing like nefarious backroom deals with companies.
Sure.
I'm sorry, with countries. But then these countries would be like, no, it's a legitimate commercial buy. It's like branded programming.
But Fox News did it with the whole Seth Rich thing too. I mean, that's under investigation right now.
What was that all about?
Well, there was a meeting between people in a room that had a lunch. I can go ahead and name those people, but I don't want you to get you sued. And we're investigating it.
I think you would get sued.
I don't think I'm going to get sued because it's the truth. And, these people all agreed. Butalski I can name because he's at the center of that. Aaron Rich is currently, going to get to the bottom of the truth. And I think it was a very, 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 very coordinated plan that was based off faulty, I don't mean faulty, a fake intelligence report actually made by Russian intelligence
whoa. Like, this was...
the Seth Rich story.
Like when Fox Business published the Seth Rich story.
I know you've done videos on Seth Rich.
Yeah.
You've taken them down, which is,
Taking the videos down?
You've taken a couple down.
No.
Yes, you have.
I've had a bunch of videos removed.
For what?
I don't know. This was a big deal.
Really?
My video on the Icelandic woman got removed as well. Yeah, they one day I got a list of someone sent me that had a bunch of videos on my channel were no longer there. That's it.
That's weird.
Yeah, it is.
You should inquire about that.
Yeah, because the videos I did on Seth Rich were not particularly definitive, except for the when Fox Business ran a story saying they had a laptop with definitive information or whatever. Like they had a laptop that claimed there was a communication between Rich and WikiLeaks or something.
I remember that when I first started visiting, you called me about possibly working with Subverse or doing some different stuff. You told me straight up when you met with Assange that basically told you Seth Rich did it.
No.
You didn't say that?
No.
Then I got it.
Dude, I wish.
Because then I went to Emily. I didn't know Emily was there with you, and I went to her and asked her, and she's like, no.
Yeah, I know. Dude.
Okay.
If anything like that would have happened, I would have run out the
thought.
door
That's
waving
why I
the papers.
whoa, his videos are removed. So I guess
no, those videos got removed, and NBC used them to smear me. Mm-hmm. So Kim.com, came out.
Yeah, I remember I signed Kim.com to you, actually, at Vice.
At Vice. Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. So, okay, we got to slow down, though. We got to make sure everybody knows the context, man.
Okay.
Keep me in the loop,
so, when I was at Vice, you told me to go to New Zealand or something?
No, it was that...
I was supposed to go on some radio show instead.
We'll walk back a little bit. I had interviewed you in 2011, I think, because we did an issue of Vice that was called the Moral Compass issue. That was right around... a crazy year. That was kind of a lot like
Occupy Wall Street,
year, right? Occupy Wall Street, and I think we'd done a photo shoot actually where we put guys in Guy Fawkes mask in really high end fashion, and we just thought it was very disruptive, I guess, and people seemed to like it. And we had to do fashion shoots. It was part of the thing. I'm not a fashion shoot guy, but that was part of my job, and it got us money. So I think I might have met you around that time because we were doing a lot of stuff around there, and I think. You were reluctant at first to do an interview. You did the interview, which
I don't know what.
That's why I want to. Yeah. And you were you're very, rightfully so. I think very cautious about mainstream and media and
even for Vice at the time. This was 2011.
Right. So and this is before the HBO show. This is before things. I started at Vice where Gavin had just gotten booted. I've really never met Gavin except we can talk about later the one time I did, and I didn't really realize what was going on. It was 2005 essentially, and started as an editorial assistant for Thomas Morton, who's one of my favorite people ever, and had the ride of my life where I became editor-in-chief a few years later, probably because they had no one else to take the seat.
So I was supposed to go on some radio program in Minnesota or something.
Sure.
Like it was a big national.
Yeah.
And then I guess you told them to send me to New Zealand because I knew more.
But we got to back up, though, because I told Vice News to hire you because they were trying to poach my people that I was working with or had. They just put Jason Mojica, which we won't get into that right now. You can Google who he is, on board. And, I thought to myself, well, they need a lot of content filled. They have no idea what they're talking about with news. They're bringing that guy on. I know Tim's going to annoy the shit out of this guy.
No, so Shane said there was no Vice News before me.
Yeah, but that's not true. I built the entire budget.
No.
Plan,
But there was they would run content. They would put Vice News on it, but the official channel was supposed to be the things that didn't make HBO. That's what Shane said.
Sure, once it got funded, but HBO wasn't around for about a year before Vice News.
But so
after Vice News, then they got funded. It was actually YouTube funded.
I had to talk to them. Yeah. I don't want to name everybody and drag everybody through. I'm not going to name certain people. But I had to negotiate with them on actually doing the on-the-ground live stream stuff because they didn't want to do it.
No, that's not true because I told them you should hire this kid to do live stream. I was doing live stream.
No, they told me they didn't want to do it.
Well, it didn't really work out that way, did it?
No, it didn't. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Probably because you were telling them to hire me.
And then I said, why aren't you going to go send them? You guys want big hits. You're trying to poach my people. Send Tim to Kim.com. And it got and then they wouldn't fund it. I funded it. I said, fine, here you go. And you went. I kind of regret that because the video should have been higher production. But
well, they had this thing there where it was constantly begrudgingly doing things, So
whatever.
And then
that's the media. That's the media.
Right,
you can't complain about that. You got to play the game if you're going to.
Okay. But we were talking about
soldier,
the Seth Rich stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Kim.com, right? I had I think it was. I'm not going to say. I don't want to say any names, but one of the main directors came up to me and says, do you want to go to New Zealand and interview Kim.com, like the famous hacker guy?
Yeah.
And I knew a bit. I knew a decent amount about him already.
Sure.
And the concern was that the person they had normally had do interviews didn't know anything about these people. I guess someone interviewed Assange before, and it wasn't like substantive.
It wasn't good.
So I actually knew a ton, and then I don't know, what capacity.
Well, we have to go back in time, and when Kim.com this was right when he was being,
it was around the mega upload stuff.
The mega upload stuff. So this is before Kim.com was any sort of political spokesperson or force in any which way, shape, or form, except for like the same wavelength as Assange in terms of data rights and freedom, right?
He got raided by the MPAA in New Zealand.
Right.
So for those that don't know, Kim.com was an internet entrepreneur, never set foot in the United States, launched a company called Mega Upload where you could host you could it's like Google Drive, right?
Before there was
Google Drive, but people were using it for piracy. You could upload a video and then search it and find movies. So sure enough, they accused him of being a pirate, and then eventually they raided his mansion compound in New Zealand, and it was American interests with the New Zealand government that did it.
Well, I would imagine New Zealand probably had some interest in that too,
for sure.
Their partner countries. But yes, sure.
So I ended up interviewing the guy. We did the video. The video took off. It did really, really well. And then, where did you want to go? You wanted to go back in time, but we were talking about
that was it. I wanted to give it some context. Yeah.
Right on. So
since Kim.com amplified the Seth Rich story so much,
right,
and he's just wrong.
Then there was this DNC email leak, and how did this like idea emerge? It was Assange, right? He was doing an interview, and they asked him.
No, there was a fake SRV or SVR. I always get it confused. Russian intelligence report, but it was made by Russian intelligence, and this is from the mouth of the prosecutor essentially working on the case at the time. And she's retired. Michael Itzkoff did a great thing called Conspiracy Land on this.
Yeah.
I think your friend Cassandra's on that too. But she had something very close to that, and so did Luke Radowski, who I also know from back in the days in Vice.
Yeah, I still know Luke. He had something on this.
Well, he was one of the very first people to run a story by Alice
Donovan.
Oh, I think I might get this wrong. Sorry, I didn't research.
Well, yeah, there were some posts made on We Are Change. Alice Donovan, I believe, was the first one.
Well, Alice Donovan's named in both the Mueller report, in which we don't need to get into that whole thing, but it's very clear when you look at the previous postings before Seth Rich that it's a Russian propaganda vehicle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what else did they talk about, like pro-Assad stuff?
Yeah, apparently there was certain pro-Assad talking points, I guess, being laundered through various blogs. And I think Alice Donovan was also one of the authors.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it was being laundered through places like Sputnik and RT, which Sandra was working at. But we know that a intelligence report, a fake one, that was used in collusion with a group of individuals. One being the Fox News reporter that initially reported the story that had to retract. And now there's a bunch of lawsuits for it, but Talski, et cetera. Yeah.
So it was I think it was a Fox Business article claiming that his laptop had communications with WikiLeaks.
Yep.
And that was the basis for something I talked about. And then someone asked me in a live stream, did I think it was true or not? And I was like, 60, 70% or whatever. And we literally had an article from Fox saying that there were communications, and that was the basis of it.
Yeah.
That was used by NBC to smear me, claiming I was pushing the conspiracy. But I was also saying, Kim.com is claiming it's true. And I'm pretty sure I said in every video, these things never pan out. Stuff like this doesn't happen.
I see.
The likelihood there's evidence is probably slim to none. But I don't think Kim.com's a liar. I've met the guy. I've talked to him. And so I guess we'll see how this plays out. And then at some point, a bunch of videos got purged from my channel. What was really irksome about this is that I discovered it because I had a video I produced in Norway called The Isdal Woman of Norway. This is just me going to Bergen, Norway, and talking. But this is the craziest thing. I was talking to local researchers about a woman who was found dead just outside of the city of Bergen. She was found face down in a fire pit, dead of smoke inhalation, and they found a suitcase full of passports and a bunch of other stuff. It's a very famous it's not a conspiracy story because it literally happened. They just don't know who she was. There's also the story. Do you know the story of Talmud Shud?
It sounds familiar.
Guy in Australia washes up on shore, and then he's got a bunch of passports. So I just talked to some locals, and we were walking around in Bergen, and we asked some locals what's a good story, and they said, "Oh, the Isdal woman, the ice woman." That video's gone. And I love showing it to people because it was just a silly mystery video. There was All we did was talk folklore with locals. I went on my channel because I'll be like, check out this really old video we made. It was really fun. Gone.
Do you know a backup of it?
No. So nowadays, all my videos are backed up on like BitChute or Minds.com.
But that was
But back then, and so then someone sent me an email saying like I mentioned it, and they were like, I went through and checked, and there was something like 30 videos that had been removed from my channel without me knowing. Very interesting. I have some ideas about Google and what Google wants, and what Facebook wants, and what the big tech companies are doing. And a simple way to put it is, why, for some reason, my channel doesn't get removed?
Well, I've had some of my videos have over 15 million views, and if you Google my name, you will not be able to find them.
Yeah.
You explained that one too, and 3 of them have been removed.
We had. Do you know who Alan Bakari is?
No.
Breitbart tech reporter.
Okay.
We had him in. He wrote a book, and he talked.
Oh, isn't that Cassandra's friend?
Yeah.
Okay.
He talked about how Facebook has, and I'm probably gonna butcher what he was telling me, so just fact check this. That they try to figure out what kind of content de-radicalizes people and then promote it as much as possible.
That's weird.
Yep. That's so.
Either which way, it's psychographic.
So then when I hear like a bunch of my videos got removed, but I don't want to get too conspiratorial.
Well, yeah, I guess you don't. But at the same time, it's like if they're doing that and there's no explanation, there should be an investigation.
Into like why videos are gone?
Well, what you just said, if they're doing the de-radicalization or they're promoting, the algorithm for some reason promotes, and I'm not saying it's a human choice, somehow gets flipped in a way that inadvertently promotes radicalization videos. Like, we need to know about that as people. We need to have access to that data publicly.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.